Hello everyone, mrskinny here, and I am casting yet another Android Netrunner game with a random opponent from the internet, hobb33. So this is pre-recorded again, first person again. I will say up front, I would love to cast some games watching online. It can be hard sometimes to find, OCTGN's not really well made to just kind of join and spectate. So if anyone wants me to spectate their games, if they have an interesting deck idea, just something that makes the game stand out a little more, I'm all for it. Or just if you want to play and you think you're good and you want to be shown, you want your talents broadcast to the tens of people who I now thank dearly for subscribing to the channel. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying this. So anyway, let's get underway. I think that's enough talking. A lot of preamble. But okay, so I'm going to give you an intro. So this is a Jinteki deck that a friend who actually got me into this game was talking about Jinteki and trying to figure it out, because Jinteki tends to be the... everyone wants to play it, everyone wants to enjoy it, but it's also the one you have the most trouble with, and I guess it's a very sort of like hit big or miss big. It is tough. I mean, I typically don't win playing Jinteki. So the idea behind this deck is, and maybe everyone feels like Jinteki is so trappy you want to flatline the runner, and so the idea behind this deck was just meant to be that you're just slowing down the runner. You actually want to win by agendas, so keep given that it's very hard to protect servers, you gotta go with the low difficulty and low points, so that any agenda stolen are never going to be a big sudden 3-point boost. So that was the idea behind the deck. So this is my very first shot at it, and I loaded up, and oh boy, this is yet again another bizarre game. Oh, how I love posting bizarre games. So anyway, it seems to be taking a long time. Actually, that was one problem. This particular game, there was a very laggy thing. So you'll see that I double-clicked a card, and I'm complaining now. There's a weird delay between when you click the card and it actually gets posted. But it actually cleans up a little later in the game, so that's not that big a deal. Anyway, look at my opening hand. So I decided to keep it. Why did I decide to keep it? Snare. Love to have a snare in my hand at all times, so I really didn't want to get rid of it. Now I've got 2 agendas in my hand now, but at the time I started the when I didn't mulligan, I only had the 1 agenda, and it was a fetal AI. So it's another trappy agenda. In fact, you kind of want the runner to hit that agenda when he's stealing something. It's a weird one, because you just don't really want to have to score a 5 difficulty agenda. You want to score the other ones. So if he's gonna take any agendas from you, you want it to be that one. So anyway, I did my mandatory draw, got another agenda, which I'm not that happy about seeing, especially given I only had 1 piece of ice in my hand. So I protect my R&D, because I feel like, you know what, if he's gonna hit HQ, well, I've got better chances for him to get something that I want him to get. So I put my pad campaign out. Obviously, I don't know how protected it's going to be, but it's an expensive card early, so it's a good one to put out early before the runner really has any money going. So he runs HQ immediately on his second click, and also immediately gets the fetal AI. So he's got 2 points on the board in the first turn. Never really sure exactly how to feel about that. The good thing is it's going to drain him of credits and knocks down his hand size, and so he's definitely delayed. He can't just kind of keep pressuring too quickly with it. It's also wonderful to see whatever cards you get to trash. It's actually funny. Anarch and Jinteki playing against each other, the ultimate I take your cards, you take mine. So second turn, mandatory draw into a second snare. So I am just childishly giggling. I'm like, oh, that's kind of awesome. So I res the pad campaign late, which I always forget to do, and I was later told about how you could actually, they have set up a DBO, set up an automated thing where it will automatically res. So you put it out and then you flag it to auto res. So I need to start doing that. But and I do feel bad, because you get information from that first card draw, but I really wasn't thinking of that. Obviously, there was no reason not to res the pad at that point. So he runs HQ on his first click next turn and hits the snare. So got my first snare off, and then you can see Hobb went in with 4 cards. So now he's losing 3 more, and he'll take a tag. He's only got the 1 credit, so he's going to have to burn 2 clicks just to deal with the tags. Oh, actually, so we actually need 3 cards in hand, I guess, then. So, yeah, so, I mean, he almost flatlined right there. But, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm assuming he's a good enough player. He was not going to run against Jinteki without 3 cards at least in hand anyway. So, and so, you know, I'm checking out what cards he lost, and, you know, it's great to see that he lost 2 big economy cards, you know, some of the core virus sets, and then a stim hack too. So, yeah, which stim hack he lost actually from the gaining the fetal AI at one point. So, I managed to enjoy into my 3rd snare. This is, of course, not luck at all. This is all based on skill, and it was all set up. What I did is I built a Jinteki deck with 15 snares in it. So the likelihood that they were going to come up was pretty good. That is, of course, a joke. There is actually... OCTGN is set up to check your deck validity, so no, I could not do that, but I did manage to draw 3 snares in the opening 3 turns of the game. So, really, this game is fully tainted. There's no way to actually say this is how strong a Jinteki deck can be, because I can't imagine the fluke involved in getting that many snares. So he's running HQ again, and lo and behold, he hits another snare. And he could have been getting the agenda. I mean, I've been sitting on this other agenda since the first turn as well. But you know, at least the probability of him getting the snare has been going with hit. You know, there have been more snares than agendas, so at least he is, the probability-wise, getting the right one. So, and then he comments, best start ever for you, I believe. I'm not sure why for you. I mean, I guess for any Jinteki. Yeah, so, and now I move on to my next turn. He's actually kept his tag. He had no money. So, I have a Scorched Earth in this deck, and this is why I draw 2 cards. I'm like, oh, God, please, draw the Scorched Earth. Let's finish. And just feel very good about oneself. But actually I managed to redraw into yet another agenda. Not great. So actually I needed to draw regardless because I didn't have any ice. He's going to keep running the HQ because, you know, now with 2 snares gone, it just feels even less likely to have any real damage coming into it. So I ice with my 3rd click. I actually missed what ice that was, but I believe it was 1. I mean, I've got 8 credits, so I could have actually rezzed either one. I didn't want to do the Wall of Thorns. I felt like that would be a little too expensive to, like, lose all of my money. So he uses next turn, he draws a couple cards, gains a couple clicks, and he's still tagged. So I really want to... So I do draw my first card. I'm really looking for that Scorched Earth, but it doesn't show. So, you know, I didn't want to kind of keep burning through cards. Even though figuring he's probably going to lose his tag next turn. I don't know, maybe that's not a good idea, but I decided to, instead, I got a hedge fund so I can get some economy going and start building up my server that I plan to actually advance agendas with. So I pop out another ice there, and once again not paying attention to what I do. So Hob takes 3 credits with his turn and then draws a card. So interestingly, he did not remove the tag that turn. Not sure why. I'm sure there is a good reason. I don't know, maybe he didn't suspect I'd have a Scorched Earth. I actually do remember asking, we would talk later about, well, now you know I have Scorched Earth in my deck, and he was like, well, it's not a big surprise for Jinteki. So maybe that's a kind of standard splash. But you can see I am drawing the hell out. Like, I mean, we got 2. I used 2 clicks on draws because I want to see that Scorched Earth. I figure the amount of time there's going to be before his tag's gone it's got to be next turn. So so I draw. So I did draw a bunch of ice though as well. It's good, and I found another fetal AI. So I'm trying to figure out. So then I installed. I actually installed one of the legit agendas. Is that the Niki Mark II? So I installed that in this server because at this point, you know, he's pretty poor. He hasn't been able to set up much of a rig, so I feel like I'm going to be able to advance that agenda. The ice, I believe, is an end run ice, so I didn't feel that worried that before next turn he'd be able to get in. I mean, obviously you can never tell. He could have Codebreaker, a stim hack, do whatever. So I start my next turn, and I mandatory draw into closed accounts. And oh, wouldn't I have loved to run that? But he did remove his tag last turn. And actually I tried to run it and then realized he lost his tag last turn. So So I'm sitting on that, so I just basically advance the agenda and score it. Figure, get that done while you can. And obviously he'll take a damage too, which is always nice. Keep milling his cards. And actually, it looks like I kicked out another one of his liberated accounts. So I'm dish cards. I figure it's going to be a while before he gets a tag again. So that closed accounts is just going to be worthless. Why not just throw that away? I've still got the snare in my hand. I've got another Fetal AI, which at this point I'd kind of be fine for him to find. And obviously I didn't want to get rid of ice. So yeah, that's why I got rid of closed accounts. So here comes a June bug. So, a bit of a decision to make. He's got some money now, so I'm not quite sure how easy it would be to throw out another Nicky. So, you can see I'm kind of trying to decide what am I going to put inside my remote. Now, it is a Wall of Thorns, so it's a nice strong ice. So, what do? So, I actually go ahead and throw out a Neural Katana. So, I'm trying to obviously make this remote a very damage heavy, hit really hard, especially since he's probably going to face check into the ice. He might have thrown in some infiltrates, but you figure that he'll go in. So anyway, so he picks up more economy. So he's got lots of economy sitting in his resources, and so he's basically just taking his money. So now, now the game has sheet. Now I'm actually sort of really making decisions because So it looks like I mandatory drew a Raven, and then did I draw another card? No. So, I decided it's time to start doing the more classic Jinteki and throwing out a lot of servers, and so creating a lot of, he's got to decide what he's going to do. So I believe I put the legitimate agenda. It's actually a shame that they went kind of quick, so I didn't see what I was doing. But I'm looking at all the cards he's lost. So he's lost 2 liberated counts at this point, and I saw that his Crypsis was gone, which makes you feel a little better. So he drew a card, took more money off of Liberated, and then puts out Grimoire, and then takes more from Liberated. So, mandatory joined Scorcher, there it is. A little too late. But yeah, so I put my legit agenda, the Brain Trust, in behind the actual server. So I used the opportunity to go ahead and score that. He'll take a damage, and then I like to look at what he loses. So he lost a Deja Vu. Not that big a deal right now, but it's always a good one to lose. So I have to end my turn. Now, so out on the board, I kept the snare in my hand. So out on the board, I believe I have the June bug, and then, actually, I'm really not sure, which is a shame. So he does have another Crypsis. So he puts that out. So he's finally going to be ready to start running things. So he runs HQ. At this point, I'm quite fine with that. I have nothing trashable, and of course another snare. I'd love to see him get hit with another snare. He has 3 cards in his hand right now, and he goes into the Neural Katana as well. So it's going to be relatively expensive to get through that. I'd love to look at what I did put out on those servers. I know I put out a June bug, but what else did I put out? So he pays to get through, and what does he find? He finds just one of my ice. You see, it was getting laggy again. The Data Raven, but that's a nice card, and he did, and especially since now I've gained my Scorched Earth, and so he used his imp to trash the Data Raven. So then he starts to run on the remote, and this is the Fetal AI one. So yeah, so I put out that, and so yeah, he's going to take even more damage, and actually has to take 3 because essentially takes 2 for the Fetal and then 1. For the Jinteki power, so he's down to 0 cards again. So that slows him down. I mean, but he is at 4 points, of course. And then I've got the June bug out, and so it's a tough call. Now, do I advance it and ice it to kind of act like it is a legit agenda? But obviously, if I don't, even if it doesn't do any damage, I like that it's sitting out there. It's going to burn a click for him to go through it. I could always ice it, and that's what I do to. And so that, I do go ahead and do the advance. So I want to make out that this is something big. I left out sort of real things on the table, and I figured he couldn't hit everything. So now I'm going to protect it. And I put out a big. I only had 1 ice, but my take is I am going to ice. I am going to res. I've got the money to do it. And obviously it'd be awesome if he goes through it, but I figure he'll break through, and then hit the June bug. So now because it's my turn, and there you're stuck. Good old June bug, how useless is that? It's got 2 advancement tokens on it, but if I don't advance it, you pretty much know it's not an agenda. Otherwise, why wouldn't I have advanced the agenda this time? I have the money. So, but then actually, that's right, yeah, because I picked up Trick of Light, I get to show, well, I mean, it served its purpose. It served its purpose. So whether or not it's a real agenda, it served its purpose, and allows me to put out False Lead in 1 turn. And so I score False Lead. Now, he takes another damage. He's down to, he only had 2 cards, so that's always good as well. And I'm up to 5 points. Now, the False Lead thing actually gives me a little, you know, this is a classic online-y problem, but, you know, basically now every single click he takes, he should be waiting for me to say whether I let him proceed, but, I mean, that really slows down the game. It's not very practical. I don't know, but, you know, I didn't know what to say about, like, hey, you know, be sure to let me make a decision on, you know, so you notice he ran the archives, you know, but I could have technically halted that click, and then, you know, he's on, and he keeps going through. So I don't know really what the etiquette is. It's a new card. I would like to see what people think about that, but I'm finally looking actually my hidden archives. I realized that I've been you know, I hadn't even checked them out, and I actually amazingly didn't have an agenda in those archives. I think he had milled about, well, I had discarded a few, so he'd only milled, what has he got, a virus and an impasse, so he's only actually got rid of 2 cards that I hadn't seen. One of them being a Scorched Earth, actually, sadly. So he played a hedge, no, he didn't play a hedge fund, he parasited onto my Neurokatana. So I think at this point it's revealed that June bug is nothing, since I did move tokens over on to a different agenda. So I think I just took credits that turn. I've got kind of nothing else to do now. I haven't got an agenda. My R&D is still protected. I think it's got the big ice on it, the Wall of Thorns. So, you know, just take money at this point, and yeah. So the parasite's building up, and so he just took more money off of his Armitage job, and drew a card, put out a new job. And he's got his wild side out at this point, so he's only down, so he's got 3 clicks a turn, which also, you know, in some ways, obviously, he's getting lots of cards, but I like knowing that he's not as sort of powerful in running, because he's reduced in clicks. So I draw an agenda, the Nisi. So he, at this point, you know, he doesn't have a lot of money, so I do go ahead and put it out. I feel like I've got the money to res those ice in front of it, or at least one of them, and he, you know, he doesn't have a lot, so I don't know, I feel like it's worth the risk. Plus, by putting it out and only putting 1 token on it, you don't know, it could be a trap. That's the thing it sets up. Meanwhile, of course, the Parasite did reach strength, so he has opened up HQ, but I'm not too bothered about that. Again, I have no agendas in my hand. Another reason I put the Nisi out, I knew that the Parasite was going to kill my protected HQ, so I say go ahead and run. I'd be happy for him to hit another snare. And he does have an imp, so of course he can get rid of something, and he finds the second Scorched Earth, so I think it's the only other Scorched Earth I have, and so he'll be able to imp that out of the game. So there's no real damage there, and you can see how lagged that was. But yeah, so he trashes the second Scorched Earth, and now he has 2 clicks left. He could keep going after HQ. He knows I've only got 2 cards, but he might be worried about that remote as well. So he, so yeah, the decision is coming. So he instead just decides to take another couple credits off of Armitage. He's got 1 click left. I don't know if again, like, is he, and he's, you know, when do I use that False Lead? It's a very strange card, actually. I really don't know when's the best time to make him lose clicks. I mean, I'm figuring it's you know, HB, it's really powerful, because if there's a ice you have that you would usually click through, you can, like, prevent that being possible. But otherwise, you know, do you do it just to have them lose a turn? But when is it most advantageous to do it? But so I have the opportunity to score Nikki, so I do it, and I win. So there you go. So there is Jinteki, playing very powerful. And like I said, this was the first time I'd even tried this deck, and yeah, it went pretty well. I don't think there was a whole lot he could have done. I mean, it was just being snared so often, so quickly, it just slows you right down. But, I mean, he still had 4 points. I mean, it wasn't like he was out of the game, but yeah. He says I lucked out for the entire month, and I guess I go along with that. And then he asked for a rematch, and actually we did have a rematch, which was a much more involved game, and I will probably be posting. And will not spoil. Does Jinteki hold up? That is the big question. So we will see. But I hope you enjoyed that little game. Just I think it's always fun to see Jinteki actually win, and certainly that sort of start is always good. So I wanted you all to share and revel in that. So there you go. Thanks as always. Please like the video, subscribe if you want to just keep seeing more. If you love seeing a black screen at the end of videos, then this is the place. This is the place for that, because wow, do I not have anything else to show. So that's it for me. I will see you guys next time.